no parallel barking.
Woof, 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 woof.
That is my woofy barky daddy. And I am Arianna, as you should know. Or if you don't, welcome, welcome. I will be barking as well. Yip, yip. Today we are talking about something really interesting. If you don't know about it, I don't know much about it, but we just learned recently about these interesting things called non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. They are kind of like a little piece of art that you would find on the internet. Actually, what they're calling it is a token, a unique token. That's an asset, like a Bitcoin.
But the token is actually an authentication of a digitally produced work, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you've got two things going. You've got artists who now don't want to paint, it's not that they want or not want. Artists who have discovered an artistic medium on the web, through digital technologies, right? So that's one thing, and they're producing artistic work through digital technologies. And then you've got this other object, which is a method using cryptocurrency, using blockchain,
yes,
right, to authenticate a digitalized work. So two things are being done. The art world is moving to digitalization, right, as not the recording of or the copy of or a picture of a work that they've done, but as the actual work itself. And this has been going on for some time. And then having done that, they've got a problem, and that is, well, how do you distinguish their digital work as authentic, their own creation, from either copies, and my technological expertise is not good enough to figure out how one does it, but that it isn't the authentic digitalized creative work, or the authentic creative work in digital form. It's something else. And so then you create these tokens, but the tokens themselves then can be detached from the thing that it authenticates. And apparently, if I remember correctly, and Arianna brought this up, which I thought was just fabulous, this has become a thing at some art festival. Where, can you explain it?
Miami, at the Miami Art Week. NFTs became huge. Let me see if I can find the article. It was driving the entire thing.
So what are you buying? Are you buying and who are you buying this from? So I'm assuming that what's going on is that an artist will create a work in a digital format. The artist will then have to also provide an NFT, right, a non-fungible token of authenticity using whatever technologies. And I imagine that he would have had, he or she or they or whomever, the person would have had to then have to either have the technology or the capability for developing NFTs, or to pay someone to do it. And then both the artwork, the digitalized artwork, and the NFT would have to be housed somewhere. And I'm assuming NFTs, if they're like crypto, will be ledger housed somewhere, and through these the closed, the blockchain closed collectives, and the digital work would have to be protected in some way, and maybe not. But that those things are going on. And then in the process, the art purchaser is going to be purchasing the artwork and the authentication, right? But I'm wondering, can you split the two? And we were talking about this a little bit before we went on the air. And so I create a work, an authentic work, in digital form, and to it I have attached an NFT which is its certification of authenticity. This is the authentic work that's coming from my brain or from whatever other body part I use to create this thing. Can I then detach the NFT and sell it without selling the underlying work? That is, keeping the underlying work somewhere in a vault and then just trading NFTs on the strength of the underlying work, in a way, the way we used to deal with gold, right? Governments would, initially you'd mint gold and the coin would have the value of the underlying metal in it that authenticated its value, inherent in the value of the metal. And then at some point, governments took all of this metal and put it somewhere. In the US, the legendary Fort Knox, clearly they had it in other places, but they put a ton of gold or metal in this fort, and then they issued paper money backed by this gold that if you wanted it, you can actually get the paper value of the gold. No one ever wound up doing it, and by the end of the gold standard, that it was first gold and silver, and no one would actually get it. But then you'd be trading, money would become the thing of value, would become the piece of paper itself, rather than directly the underlying metal. And I'm wondering whether, in a way, this is another way, at least in these closed collectives, of developing money, the way Meta, whatever it's called, old Facebook, what's it called now?
The metaverse.
Yeah, the meta whatever, and their metaverse attempted, a year or so ago, to develop its own, effectively its own NFT, its Lira currency, which could then be used, backed by the goods that would be bought and sold or consumed. I don't know.
I think those discussions are already happening. NFTs are already being bought and sold on specialized marketplaces.
The NFTs?
Yes.
And the underlying work, or
yes,
together, or
just NFTs, just NFTs, just
okay.
NFTs.
So where's the underlying work?
You can also buy the underlying work that you can go to a different place. Like,
you mean or are you buying it, or are you receiving it somehow, access to it?
Right, you would go to like Christie's auction house, or you would go to the Art Week.
But this is all digital.
Yes, the Miami Art Week is now digital.
Right. So you don't have to go anywhere to get it. This is all done.
Right. You go to your computer and travel in your mind space to these places.
Right. So it's all okay. So it's all done on. It's all digitally done.
Yes. But you can also, buy
groceries,
quote, real estate in worlds, like we were talking about, the metaverses, like Decentraland is one of them, and that are backed by these NFTs. So like a title, instead of a title, you'd have an NFT.
Right, but I could also buy your house,
your piece of real estate.
I could buy your house with NFTs if you chose to accept it.
I think so, yeah.
As long as you were registered and made part of that collective. So effectively what you've done is you have to create, you have to gain admittance to this realm. I can't go off, as soon as we're done, I can't go off and Google NFTs and buy one. I guess I'd have to figure out how to become part of the group, and their standards that have to be met, and all of this other stuff. But effectively, what we're doing is we're I think what I'm hearing you correctly, we're doing kind of two things, which we've always done, but now outside of the state, which is what makes this interesting. we are refining systems of barter, right? Once you give the initial value, which can be public currency, but it could be something else, is whatever people will accept for the NFTs. You're creating a system of bartering in which you're either bartering the digital work directly, or you're bartering the digital work through NFTs, and at the same time you're creating currency.
Yeah.
Right. And currency, which was the point of the lira, which is the point of crypto as well. So you've got a barter system and a crypto system kind of working together in a functionally differentiated world. This is the world of digital art, but that there's no reason why that is necessarily confined to this thing. It is like Bitcoin, it's as open as the willingness of the community either to let you in or to accept your payment in crypto or otherwise. And so what we seem to be seeing here is the proliferation now, and we've seen it all over the place, of course, but now in a more bougie kind of way. Because this isn't terrorist financing or drug dealers or high-end bankers and multi-billionaires in their own little metaverses. But these are kind of bougie people who are now beginning to be liberated from the limitations, exploitations, and serendipity of national currencies to develop their own little closed monetary systems.
Yeah, I mean, it is becoming big. I'm just reading now that earlier this year in March, the Nashville band Kings of Leon announced that their next album would arrive in the form of multiple NFTs. So
wait. So they would arrive in the form of multiple NFTs, which means the NFTs are then also the product. So
yes.
They've merged both the token. They've merged the token with the art, and the art is the token.
Yes, and there is a special one, I think, that you could get a quote golden ticket to a VIP concert experience.
Okay, but that's a wasting asset, because once that VIP experience comes, it's come and gone.
Well, right, yeah, it unlocks an extra, I guess.
Okay.
Experience.
Okay. All right. So in some cases, the NFTs become a substitute for money. In other cases, the NFT continues to be merged with, in some way that's beyond my technical capacity, with the art itself. And we're back to a sophisticated barter system in a sense, because what you're doing is you're bartering this thing for, it could be national currency, it could be services, it could be something else. At the moment, I suspect that right now there's a deep interplay between national currency systems and these things. And so initially, the people who are producing this are going to want national currency of some kind. And if you're a Cuban artist, for example, this is Miami, so I'm going to raise Cuban artists, you're going to want probably US currency or some currency other than a Cuban currency that you can park somewhere outside of the state. And so it becomes extremely useful for people who live in and have to otherwise deal with the unstable currencies. And so it's a nice hedge. But for Americans, it also is a way of opting out of a currency system that itself may be viewed as either perhaps subject to way too much surveillance. Remember, the Congress had threatened to monitor all transactions over $900.
Yes.
And then that went away for the moment, and we'll see how it'll come back, because once that is out of the bag, it's going to come back, and this may be a way of avoiding that. But the minute you do that, of course, you're inviting all kinds of other people who, for probably less positive reasons, are also looking to veil their transactions from the eyes not of the state, but of state security.
I mean,
this gets really weird, really
I mean,
fast.
there's always going it will be almost impossible to avoid people trying to commit financial fraud or crimes or whatever that may be. But I wouldn't be surprised. And in fact, I think I may have heard, or I could have been dreaming this, that the government is already talking about some sort of cryptocurrency, or going in that direction, or what
everyone is talking. Everyone is talking about digital currency of one form or another.
And you should be
digital platforms for their currency and currency transactions. But this is somewhat different, because you're trying to detach yourself. You're trying to detach yourself from national currency.
I love it.
If you're doing cross-border transactions, all the better, because then you don't have to deal with the fluctuations in relative value of currencies. You've got a transnational currency that is stable because it's functionally differentiated. So here there'll be stability in the art world with respect to quote unquote pricing based on art NFTs. And then it gets really interesting, because if you're going to want to trade art NFTs for I don't know, let's do something silly.
Real estate, because people are doing that.
Right, like real estate, then you're crossing the border, and you're going to, you can't help but then recreate these markets for different currencies in markets for different NFTs, the borders of which are functional rather than territorial. And so in a sense, it's kind of interesting. You're trying to avoid it to some extent and develop stability from a functional perspective, which is great. But at the end of the day, you may well just be also migrating in the all of the quote unquote problems of currency when you try to get out of your collective, unless you merge them, right? Unless you merge them, and that will be interesting as well. But the trick then, and it's probably time to close, but I'm going to ask
closing thought.
Not so much a closing thought as a question for you. It seems that all of this is really, it's not really about the art. In a sense, the art is the predicate for value, but the real value comes in the robustness of the authenticating technology.
Yes.
So what you're really buying, in a sense, in part, is that authenticating technology. So is this a world where it's not the artist that's king, queen, or both, or whatever, but one in which the I guess it's not the coder, but the programmer and the system maintainer that is, and perhaps the platform operator that is king. And that takes us back to Meta and Google and all of these other platforms.
I don't think we ever left from those platforms. I think those are still going to be the most important realms in the future. I think the digital world is going to be the most important realm,
right,
for everyone.
Right. But I don't mean that, right, but I don't mean that Facebook and Google are going to absorb this, but that the model that they provide for things like, let's say, an art world platform space that may use Google and Facebook for transactions, or they may provide themselves not only with the value in the technology, but the space for users and consumers to meet as well. And so all of this then migrates, not just quote unquote social media and experience and the societal, but also, and not just the economic, but here the finance, to a series of platforms where it's the coding and the integrity and protection of the coding, which now appears like to develop the same kind of power and issues that putting up a wall on your territory to protect the integrity of the space within used to be, but in a physical space. So it's kind of interesting.
And I think people are also interested in like that little piece of bit art that is on that little NFT. Like people want to see like a cute little cat with wings and a farting rainbow, and they want to own that,
or whatever it is. And that, of course, and this will be my closing thought. And that, of course, is actually the most interesting part of all of this, because these markets will advance and collapse on the basis of the collective to invest a thing with value. Right? Gold has value because we have collectively, like diamonds, we have collectively been managed into desiring them at a particular level. If tomorrow we decide that, I don't know, that granite is cooler than diamonds, then the value of diamonds falls, then the platform falls as well. So you've got an interesting, and here you're dealing with digital art, or art that has been digitalized, and that probably will produce a bunch of conversations again about the meaning of value in the fueling of these quite complicated systems, where a lot of people seem to be making a whole lot of money, however you define those terms.
Yeah. And like we said, it's becoming a big deal even in the real world. The Miami Art Week is actually still going on. If anyone is interested, today might be the last day you can visit. If you're interested in this digital art extravaganza, www.pieroatchugarry.com, and you'll be able to see some Spanish contemporary artist watercolor work.
Well, the digital version. All right, now, so it's not even a digital. So in some respects, it's not actually a digitalized art. It is traditional art that has been digitalized.
Yeah.
All right, and that raises all kinds of issues. Then we go back to in the early 20th century, there was a huge debate about the authenticity of replication, and whether we're going to see the digital version of that century-old debate will be the subject of another podcast.
Okay, so Dad's closing thoughts are never his closing thoughts. We learned today.
My bad.
Dad, say goodbye.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much.